Melina, before we went to break, you wanted to complete the thought on the whole defunding the police, and there's a lot of misconceptions about that. So please, you have the floor.
Right. I just wanted to lift up, and I was going into why we say defund the police, that we are in a world that recognizes we can no longer tinker around the edges of an unjust system. Defunding the police is about moving money out of an unjust system of policing and into the things that actually make communities safe. And that fight is winning. And so I think as we kind of move towards the end of the show, it's really important that people know that we have power, that when you engage, when we fight, we win. And I want to point to the many, many school districts throughout the country that are canceling their contracts with police. I want to point to places like Los Angeles Housing Services that's canceling contracts with police, the university systems that are canceling contracts with police and ending police on campus. I want to point to the fact that we are winning right here in Los Angeles. Just yesterday, our city council, after they were pressured by our efforts that we call People's Budget LA, they committed to only deploying police for non-violent calls. So if there's a call on somebody for loitering, a social worker might come out, a housing services person might come out, but not armed police with guns and badges. They made that same commitment in San Francisco. In Minneapolis, they've actually committed to disbanding their police department. So I want to lift up that this fight is for a reason. It's because we can win real victories.
Lena, let me ask you, of course, I got to play devil's advocate. We're not saying no, are we saying no law enforcement? Because of course, there still will be crimes. There still could be some crimes, right? Someone might get raped. Someone may be attacked. Violent crimes that may still happen. We can fix the housing. We can fix a lot of things, right? But there still are people that may commit a crime against someone. They may hurt someone. Will it be, the way it's being laid out, is it the goal to have zero, or just for violent offenses to have someone to call?
So as we say defund the police, the companion call is reimagine public safety. Okay. And so as someone who has survived some of the crimes that you're talking about, it does not make me feel safer to be approached by a man with a gun and a badge. I would have much rather be approached, and I might have actually engaged in, systemic responses if I knew the response was going to be a community care worker, maybe another survivor who would come and help me. Right? And so it's really important that we reimagine what public safety means and do so from the perspective of the people who are harmed. Most of the time, the people who are harmed do not want guns and badges as the response to their harm.
Thank you very much for that. Appreciate that. Now, we spoke off mic quickly about the Minnesota Fund, Freedom Fund. We only have a couple minutes left, but I really want to just clarify this. They're coming on a fire. They collected more than $30 million in donations following the death of George Floyd. So far, the nonprofit has spent $200,000 to bail out jail protesters. Now people are demanding to know where the rest of the donations and how it will be spent. Chanel, you mentioned you wanted to explain that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't understand abolition. Even in that comment about whether we get rid of police, it's the restriction to the access of freedom. There's the reason why we do some of the things that we do. And so people need to understand, when you hear bail funds or bailouts, you're looking at people, you're looking at community members donating their money, individual donations to folks who can get bailed out. And because they raise that much money, that's not a crime or anything. And what we do with bail funds, I know with our community bail funds, we make sure that people have groceries, they get a new phone, they get a charger, they get a ride. You get other things that you need to support you through your case, but also to remove that target of incarceration from off your back. So community bail funds and freedom funds are in place because there's a bail issue, but there's also a systemic issue. And so that systemic issue needs to be fought. So protesters getting out is one population of people, but there are other people who are in jail that are unjustly put in there with higher bonds. Just the other day, we got out a mother who had a DV situation. She's being charged $50,000. And then a male who has like you said, a violent situation, who's only being charged $5,000. Without that bail system, you're not able to prove that there is an issue and then be able to collect their stories and support them on their journey. money. I think the other thing that people need to understand is you can't control how much people are going to fund you. And just because they reach 30 million, that means that they can go on for a few years. We want grassroots initiatives to be the things that are here instead of the police. The police are not getting ready to control how much somebody's bail is.
So it's less a matter of, oh, they got all this money, what are they doing with it? Because there's been some criticism because apparently the Minnesota board is all, the board is all white. So people were like being skeptical of it. It's more so, wow, they got an amazingly good response to their fundraising efforts. So they have an abundance of money. So
Yes,
they can, okay.
Absolutely. I don't know what the board has to be, with the board being white, they're doing exactly what they need to do. A lot of our volunteers with our community bail fund are white. They will understand what it means to be systemically repressed in the prison system. And so I make sure that they show up. They're outside now waiting on people to get out of jail and making sure that they have the things that they need. And I think that's their duty as white folks. What else they doing?
That part.